Welcome to the Crash the Pond podcast. It is a Monday, May 2nd edition of the show. Jake, you know what that means? The month of April is officially over, but more importantly, more notably, the Anaheim Ducks regular season 2021-2022 season is officially in the books. The NHL Stanley Cup playoffs have begun. And so now the Ducks won't be playing hockey again until the fall. I mean, what does it feel kind of almost like the season just went by in a flash? What's just your reaction to that fact alone?
Well, I mean, first off, you said the name of the podcast wrong. We've rebranded, renamed the podcast. It's still CTP, but now we're Cherish Tom Hodges. Let's get it right.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Oh, we're doing that. We're doing that right off the bat.
Hey, that's the most relevant news from the last week. So I'm just, gonna say it was a heartwarming moment. As for your actual question, sorry. What was your actual question? It was about the season going by in a flash.
How do you feel? How do you feel about the season being over?
I'm excited because here's the deal. For a while there, it looked like the Ducks were going to make the playoffs, which obviously was exciting. There was that. But
for a while there, you mean back in December?
No, even up until the All-Star game. Come on. Up until it was after the All-Star game when Gibson really fell apart that it became clear that they weren't making the playoffs.
Wow, blaming Gibson.
I mean,
I thought he can't possibly be blamed because of the players in front of him and the workload and the fact that he played for Randy Carlyle a few years ago. I thought he can't be blamed. Couldn't be blamed. Am I wrong about that?
Are you
telling me that you can actually blame him?
Are you having your Kermit the Frog sipping on tea moment right now?
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly. I'm actually sipping a La Croix right now.
And I'm sipping a spicy mango cart. So there we go.
Good on you.
Yeah.
Good on you.
Back to your question, the whole start of this thing.
Is this going to be an off the rails episode?
It 100% is going to be. We have a lot of questions from Discord, so this is going to be a question heavy podcast. I have to kind of do a little bit of in memoriam for the Ducks season.
Yeah.
But I think no matter what, even if the Ducks had made the playoffs, right, they were probably going to get crushed by whatever team they were going to play. Realistically, that's probably how it was going to go. So I think we all knew that the real exciting part, especially once Pat Verbeek came on, was the deadline, and then it was going to be the offseason. Because how does this team get rebuilt? Because this season, for as much fun as it was, this was just the start. This was the appetizer. This probably wasn't even the appetizer. This was the cocktail hour, where you start taking some sips. You start feeling good. You're feeling good about yourself. Maybe you have a couple hors d'oeuvres come around. Maybe you get one or two. Maybe you get a bacon wrapped scallop out of that. Maybe you have some great little meals. But it's just a little taste. Taste. You want more, but just a taste. Then you kind of move into the off season, and then next year you get the appetizer. Kind of tastes better. Starts to be a little bit more filling. You start to have more fun. The Ducks maybe make a run at the playoffs, an actual run. And then eventually you start to get to that main course. That big 8-ounce filet mignon that's just so tasty, so tender. And that is what this Ducks contending run is going to be. So
I'm hungry now.
Yeah, this season, I don't even know. I pulled that out of nowhere, but this was the cocktail hour for the Ducks.
I mean, that's a very positive spin, I would say. Not spin, but a very positive way of looking at it. Yeah. So before we kind of move, I think we have a lot of questions today that we're going to get into. Trying to keep this one kind of neat and tidy for timing purposes. But before we get into the questions, I do think it's worth looking back at this season, kind of learning from it, recapping it a little bit, and then looking ahead to what comes next, because I think we need to look back and just take stock one last time of what happened while it's still fresh, and then go from there. So for me, I'm just going to put you on the spot here.
Okay.
I don't care. You've had a few sips of an adult beverage. I think you can handle it. What is your biggest takeaway from this season, from the madness that we just witnessed? Because a lot happened, Jake, this season. A lot happened. So
it did.
What's kind of the biggest one that pops out to you right now?
I think the Ducks are overall in good hands moving forward. I think that's my biggest takeaway from this season, because Pat Verbeek being hired is part of it. And I think if you're trying to look at the biggest, most important thing that's happened this season was Pat Verbeek becoming the general manager of this team. Because that is the move that's going to have the largest influence on this team for the next 5-6 years. And so I think my biggest takeaway is, I mean, hell, we went into the season, right? How much of every episode did we dedicate to how many UFAs are the Ducks going to move? Are they going to, is it just going to be one? Like, even before the season, we talked about, oh, Bob Murray might move one, is what we thought. We'd be lucky if he moves two.
Right.
And turns out he wasn't there. Pat Verbeek was there. And the Ducks moved all 4 of the pending UFAs. Like,
yeah, the noteworthy guys.
That was the story of the season to me, was what has desperately needed to be done for years now finally was complete. And so I know that's not necessarily exactly the type of answer you were looking for, because you were more so, I think, looking for on the ice stuff. But
no, that's completely you projecting there. Please do not assume what I'm thinking.
Okay. But yeah, so let's go with that.
I think that's a good takeaway, because in the grand scheme of things, in the big picture, what will matter the most for this franchise in 2 to 3 years down the line about this season is the fact that, I mean, for one, because for all of that to happen, for one, Bob Murray resigning is the biggest one there that allows for all this to happen. And then, yes, the cascading effect. Pat Verbeek gets hired. The trade deadline happens. Akins gets extended for another year. I mean, all of these different things, those are going to have the biggest outsized impact on the short and long-term future of this team. So I think that's a great takeaway from this season.
Thank you. Thanks for pumping my tires there.
Well, I mean, it's think about it. They traded.
No, definitely.
They traded Hampus Lindholm, who was a 6th overall pick for this team. They traded Rickard Rakell, multiple-time 30-goal scorer. They traded Josh Manson, a late-round find. They traded Nick Delorier, who had become kind of a bit of a fan favorite, locker room guy. I mean, that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. And the thing is, it was long overdue. This should have happened a year ago at least. And so I think what's kind of funny to me, as I've looked back on the season, trying to wrap my mind around it, is when the Ducks announced that they were doing a rebuild to start the year. It's funny, like, why did they announce it then? What was it about this fall?
Well, why did they reach out to us to essentially contact us to give us give us some information, right? Why was that something that specifically, like, they wanted to relay?
But the thing is, why now? Why did that happen this season? I think that we didn't think that question through enough of why now.
Yep.
Because if you think about it, whether they believed that they were in one or not, they were in one 2 years ago. They stopped being good a while ago. The veterans weren't going to be bouncing back a while ago. Although, to be fair, some of the veteran guys had good seasons this year. But it is interesting, just the timing of all of that. Now, I think, yes, from an on-ice perspective, because I guess my biggest takeaway would probably be that in the grand scheme. But I think the bigger takeaways on ice, there's a few that you can pick from. I think that there's some highlights and there's some lowlights. I mean, for me, the biggest one that sticks out, of course, is Troy Terry.
Yeah.
And the fact that he had the season that he did, the fact that he cemented himself as a bona fide first-line forward, in my opinion. I really think that even if, and it probably will, his goal scoring regresses next season, he's still going to be high impact first-line caliber forward.
Yep.
Would you disagree with that?
Completely agreed.
Okay. Got it. And then, of course, I mean, Trevor Zegras. That's, to me, the other biggest story on the ice is the fact that he came in and I would say delivered on the hype. He delivered the highest point-getting season for a Ducks rookie in franchise history, crossed the 60-point plateau. Maybe one day. 60-point plateau, delivered some of the most memorable moments we've seen watching this sport, let alone this team.
Well, and the question coming into the year, right, was where's the offense going to come for this team? That was the question last year, and that's been the question for years now. Where's the offense going to come from for this team? And we finally got answers for that moving forward with Troy Terry and Trevor Zegras. So from a positive perspective, I mean, the other part of this is, so first off, that's the first 2 60-point players that this Ducks team has had since I think it was the 17-18 season when Rakell had 69 points, Getzlaf had 61 points. And so it's been a while since they've had 2 guys put up those points. The thing that I find fascinating, though, is Getzlaf and Rakell played together. Zegras and Terry did this each on their own. Like, neither of them were on the line together. What happens if they're put on a line together throughout the entirety of a season? How many more points are they able to get together? And I think to me that is both a positive and a negative, right? The positive is that's something we can see moving forward. That's something very, very exciting to look forward to. The negative out of that is the Ducks have a coach that was insistent on that not happening for the majority of the season, and basically had it happen for 10 games, then went away from it. And so, granted, next season is going to be a whole different story. There's no Ryan Getzlaf to pair Troy Terry with. Mm-hmm. And so getting Trevor Zegras with Troy Terry makes a whole lot more sense. The real question is Dallas Eakins going to have the wherewithal to not put a career AHLer with him? And I'm not even talking about Derek Grant right now, because for however you feel about him, and I'm included in that, he was an NHLer this year because he played most of his games in the NHL. Right. Or all of his games were in the NHL. But like these last couple of games, they were stuck, or Milano and Zegras were stuck with Buddy Robinson, who is a career AHLer, not even meaning for that to be a shot. That just is what he is. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not sure what world we live in where putting a career AHLer with two of your best offensive players is a smart decision. So
no,
that decision making needs to change in the offseason and moving forward for essentially this to be a positive outcome moving forward.
Sure. But I think that, we'll get into some of the negatives, because there's a few. I think people were probably expecting more of those from us than some of the positives. So we're going to focus on the positives for now before getting into our grievances, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I think next up on the positive list for me is Sonny Milano.
Yes.
I think that if nothing else, Sonny Milano, the fact that he really showed this year, because even though I think we were both believers in his game and his ability to carve out a spot in the top six, he hadn't really done it yet. And so the fact that he came out and did it very well, did it spectacularly well. He's 25. He's an RFA. I mean, this is a guy who I think is just going to provide positive value for the Ducks from just like a dollar's perspective, right? I mean, this is a guy who's going to give them a consistent presence in the top six, who can play with any of their top guys.
Yeah. And let me ask you this. I mean, this is, I think, the most fascinating part when looking back on this season.
Uh-huh.
The two of the guys we just talked about didn't start the season in a locked-in role on this team. Like,
yeah, Troy Terry healthy scratched, right?
I remember going back but Troy Terry, I thought was sick during that period, or that's what happened. Right. But he basically said on all of his podcasts that he's got on that he was healthy scratch to start the year. That wasn't him being sick. That was just a healthy scratch. And that's kind of lost in all of this, that was how the coaching staff viewed him. And then to have this type of season and be able to work out of it. And granted, that goes to what we said about him last year, is that he was better than anyone gave him credit for. And this year he improved, but he had the results to go with it. And then Sonny Milano started the season with the Gulls.
Yeah, did not even make the team.
Didn't make the team, cleared waivers.
Yeah.
It's both a great thing and a bad thing, right? From a talent evaluation perspective, it's not the best thing in the world from the coaching staff. But the good news is that the Ducks have these two players that came out of kind of nowhere. Because if you look at underlying metrics, you could definitely see this type of thing coming. But from a production standpoint, it wasn't necessarily there previously.
Yeah, I mean, the thing to keep in mind with Sonny Milano at that time is the uncertainty regarding his health, because he was coming back from a pretty troubling,
missing a whole season.
Yeah, concussion situation. And so I understand, for example, him clearing waivers, but the fact that the team, because he played extremely well in training camp and in exhibition games, that he didn't make the team is still shocking. But back then it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to say who exactly was driving those decisions at the time, because Bob Murray was still there. Although post Bob Murray, Dallas Eakins' decisions haven't become necessarily all that much more. What do you want to see? What word do I want to use here? Rational. Since that time,
sure.
But regardless, Sonny Milano is a great story. The fact that he was healthy, the fact that there was the scare where he got hit in the head. I think it was like halfway through the season.
Yeah, it was against the
Wild.
Wild.
Really scary. Yeah, but the fact that he survived that and that he was able to play out the year and did it well, that's a great positive development for this team.
Yeah, definitely.
moving down the list, because I want to stick on the younger player theme, and I think that there are also some good veteran success stories. I'm going to get this one out of the way because I think this one's probably at the top of people's minds. Isaac Lindestrom. So, great career year from a production perspective. And from an underlying metric perspective, was a good defensive player and was not as bad offensively at driving offense this year as it was last year.
One thing I want to quickly mention on Isaac Lindestrom specifically is that his defensive metrics shockingly got better once the Ducks stopped using him in this shutdown role.
Yeah.
That was the role that they had like kind of pegged him into. Yeah, pigeonholed him into. And once it seemed like Dallas Eakins stopped doing that because he took him off. Darren Grant wasn't on his line anymore. Nick Delorier wasn't there. Like Jacob Silverberg wasn't there. Like all these guys that were essentially the defensive wingers weren't there, and he was instead playing with a Vinny Lettieri or a whoever else. Like the matchups weren't necessarily as tough. And I mean, lo and behold, he started playing better, and that's what
his numbers drastically improved.
And that's what you want out from a young player. You want to, and this is what we've long talked about. You want to put him in positions to succeed. He wasn't succeeding in that role. He wasn't putting up good numbers. And some people could say, well, that's because he was playing against tough competition. So what do you expect? You expect your guy to not get caved in. That's what a good defensive center does. Is he's able to push the play the other way and not get caved in. And so that's kind of a lot of what we said for most of the year, right, was that he's getting pigeonholed into this role, and it could hurt his development. And if he were to just be played as a fourth-line center, it wouldn't be as bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And so I think that I was very skeptical of him throughout the year, and I think that at the time with the information available, that was correct. Now on the balance of the season, you look at what he did, and he looks a lot like how he did last year, right? He kind of looks like almost the same player from an on-ice impact perspective. And so the fact that he was able to recover from that, playing in that shutdown role to kind of showing what he can do just in a normal deployment, that is encouraging. And I think that it'll be interesting to see now how they use him next year, if they're able to learn from this season and kind of how you're supposed to use him.
And I think you have to insulate him, because what we've seen from him from looking at the underlying metrics and also looking at some of the tracking data on him is he's a really good player in transition. He's great at transitioning the puck from the defensive zone, carrying from the defensive zone to the offensive zone, which is a very useful talent in the NHL to have. The issue is that once he gets into the offensive zone, the puck just kind of dies on his stick. Nothing really happens there because he kind of takes it to the outside and stays to the outside, and no chances are really created off of that. So you need to get him with players that he can just give the puck to. Yeah,
exactly. And he's going to learn how to make those better reads when he's entering the zone, because like you said, a lot of the times he just holds on to it, gets it around the net, behind the net, and then it ends up just being a pass back to the point, and then it just turns into a low-quality shot. So, but there is some encouraging. There are some encouraging signs there that maybe he can continue to develop. And then just moving a little further down the list, just giving out flowers here left and right, I thought that Jamie Drysdale. So I bagged a lot on Jamie Drysdale to start the year, and I'm still I still have reservations. Have reservations. He was still very, very poor defensively this year. I mean, there's just no sugarcoating that. But he was not nearly, he wasn't as bad as he was last year, so there's improvement. And his ability to drive offense specifically did improve drastically. Still not that much of a positive contributor, but drastically. But
he was just 19.
He was just 19, no longer is, thank God. And was playing next to Hampus Lindholm, kind of pigeonholed, again, like Lindestrom, pigeonholed into this role that probably wasn't suited for. And then I think what's the most encouraging to me with Drysdale is that when you dig more into the tracking data from Corey, he grades out really well in some interesting areas. He's really, really good at entering the zone with control, which is what we were just talking about with Isaac Lindestrom. He's also really good, though, at entering the zone and then creating plays after that. So he's kind of like the anti-Lindestrom in that respect, and that's intriguing to me. And I think digging in more into the stats in his own zone, he's also good at retrieving the puck. He's good at getting it out of his zone after he's retrieved it with possession. and he's good at suppressing chances against. So he's good at defending his own blue line. So there's starting to be this kind of tail of the tape here where you can see a path for him now that maybe wasn't quite there off of last year.
Well, what I find interesting is a lot of times, right, there's obviously going to be flaws with the track data, and it's not always going to line up directly with the macro type data. But a lot of times, even if it doesn't line up, you can expect some positive regression. I don't know if regression is the right word. Positive jump from the macro data if the micro data is there.
Well, that's the thing, because you saw the improvements in his overall on-ice impact, and then you look at the micro data and you realize, okay, that's maybe why it's happening. Maybe that's why there was a jump in his offensive impact, because he's doing all these things that are really important. Now, I think the next step for him, interestingly, like Lindestrom, is that he is so good at gaining the blue line, and there were times this season where he would do that, and it felt like there was just no plan after that. It was just throw it on net or chip it in. Like there just wasn't really kind of this mindfulness about the way he was doing it. And I think now a big key for him, a lot like Troy Terry in a way, is attacking that middle of the ice, drawing in and really attacking coverage and dishing it back out or back to a trailer, right? And that's also a systems thing. It's not just completely on him. But I do think it's a big positive for the Ducks that the guy that they drafted 6th overall is showing progress.
Yeah,
because you need those to pan out.
All right, I'm gonna give one more player his flower. Or let's go 2 more players. 2 more players their flowers.
I've got a few more, but yeah.
Well, just in the.
Well, I think now. I mean, unless there are some youngsters I'm missing, I think veterans. There's
Correct.
3 guys. Correct. I think that
in respect to time, to keep this a little bit tight. The veterans I think that deserve their flowers are obviously Ryan Getzlaf.
Yeah, that's number 1 because he was great this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Adam Henrique.
He might have been the Ducks' best player this year,
behind Troy Terry and Trevor Zegras.
I think from an on-ice perspective, he was unquestionably more impactful than Trevor Zegras. Just if you look at just his raw impact.
Fair. Well, yes. Impact's an interesting word there because...
Well, that's the word we use for everyone, so...
Yeah, fair. Okay. And then
anyway,
and Sam Carrick.
Oh, that's where you went with that. Okay. Sam Carrick was great this year. I agree. I mean, he carved out a niche for himself.
Oh, that's something that happened. Sam Carrick has been given a 2-year extension.
Oh, yeah. I guess we haven't talked about it on the podcast.
That just hit me.
2-year extension, $850K a year. I mean, nothing really noteworthy about the deal itself other than that it's great value for a guy who, I mean, there's no term on it. It's just 2 years. And it's a guy who's giving you positive value and who's going to be a positive value asset at that number. I mean, that's kind of everything you want.
Well, and I think this is a great indication because this was Verbeek's first contract that he gave out.
Yeah, and did not whiff on it. And by the way, this was the kind of contract that his predecessor routinely whiffed on.
It could have been 3 years. It could have been the Derek Grant deal if it was his predecessor, to be honest.
Yep, exactly.
But so I mean, this is a perfect deal. And granted, like it's a small deal. It's not one that's gonna necessarily win the Ducks a cup. But I think if you're trying to look at this long term, it shows that Verbeek knows what he's doing from a contract perspective.
Yeah, and also, I mean, you said it's not going to win them a cup, sure, but you can lose a cup by messing these contracts up.
By giving Derek Grant $1.5 million for 3 years.
Right, or by just giving random players no trade clauses.
Giving Chris Tanev, or not Chris, Brandon Tanev, 8 years? Wasn't that something that happened?
Sure, like the whole point, though, is just that they did not mess this up. They retained flexibility. Don't overpay your depth guys is the whole idea. And then I think the other big positive for me from a veteran perspective, I thought Cam Fowler was great again this year, very quietly.
Yeah.
But believe he set a career high in points this year, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, I mean, just a productive season, very good on the ice, very impactful, was good on the power play. And so just if you look at the totality here, and also Anthony Stolarz is good. So if you look at the totality here.
Career high in points. First 40-plus point season for him since his rookie year in 2010, 2011.
Yeah, so if you look at the overall picture here, there's a lot of guys who are really important to this team who either met expectations or far surpassed them. And so that's That's really, really encouraging moving forward.
Yep.
Okay. Now the flowers have been handed out. What's the opposite of flowers? Coal? Handing out coal?
Turds?
I guess just your biggest disappointments from this season. Just the things that really stick out to you that you are not happy with or that you want to critique.
Dallas Eakins.
I think that is number one, isn't it?
That is number one. The fact that we went an entire season and only for one single game got Milano, Zegras, Terry. And in
I like how that's the.
Well, that just but that kind of goes to show, right? That
it's a microcosm.
Yeah, that one game that they played in, they had a 90% expected goals for percentage. Mm-hmm. Like that just goes to show how good they were.
Oh, apparently Mike Smith is looking terrible right now.
Oh, he did. He allowed a god awful goal. I have the game on another computer.
Oh, thanks for paying attention to us.
Yeah, I know. It's 3-2.
As I'm the one who brought that up.
Yeah. But I think just the lineup that he would put together on a nightly basis, the usage that he did, the fact that he was micromanaging everything that Trevor Zegras would do on the ice, like
and the late game tactics to me stick out the most.
Well, yeah, the Ducks were playing for ties. Let's call a spade a spade.
Who was the team we were talking about on the Patreon show this weekend? That a team that just basically stacked up overtime points. Yeah, it's kind of like, and it's funny because today I was listening to the PDO cast, and they were talking about the Dallas Stars and their gripes with Rick Bowness. And I was like, man, this sounds a lot like a coach that I watch all the time, Dallas Eakins. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's that safe hockey mindset. And that was a big, ultimately the safe way ended up being the way that really cost the Ducks points in the standings when their season was still kind of in that competitive portion.
Like hell, it was probably about a quarter to a half of the season, by probably almost a half. Trevor Zegras had either Derek Grant or Nick Delorier on his wing.
Yeah.
Like, just those types of decisions, right, that just don't make any sense. And if any other coach had made those types of decisions, they would just be ran out the building. And, what if Patrick Kane had Nick Delorier on his line?
Right.
Just like putting it as bluntly as that.
Yeah, but Jake, come on. Dallas Eakins has been dealt a tough hand. We don't know we can't have any idea what kind of coach he is yet.
Yeah.
Because he's been dealt a tough hand.
Yeah. So, to me, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I think that's a big one. And then there's another thing I wanted to point out regarding coaching, the power play. So you got a lot of flack for this on Twitter.
Yeah, I did.
I back you on this. First off, because people can't read what you're saying.
Yeah, here's the thing: the power play this past season was not as dangerous as last year. Even though the goals show that they scored more goals and they were more effective, which is the correct term, they were a more effective power play this year than last year because they scored more.
Yeah.
But from the perspective of, is that effectiveness sustainable? Was there actually backing behind that for this to continue? Or was it just a little bit of smoke and mirrors and shooting percentage? And when you look at the underlying metrics, you can see that the Ducks produced less expected goals for per 60 this year on the power play than last year's horrendous, god-awful power play. And so when you see that and you look at the 2 goals for numbers over that time, you can see that last year there was a lot of just poor shooting luck. Whereas this year, it was maybe a little bit more. Maybe having a little bit of better finishers also helps on that. But the reality of this power play is it's in between the efficiency that you saw last year and this year. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing in this.
In terms of generating expected goals, wasn't it worse than last year?
Yeah, it was worse.
Yeah. So,
I think I said that. Maybe I misspoke.
Well, just to highlight it once more, they were worse. And so, yeah, that's concerning. And, now it was announced today that all the Ducks assistant coaches are going to be back. And they got a lot of praise for the work that they did, and to their credit, the power play did produce, but it felt really, especially as the season wore on, that I don't really know what they were trying to do. Like this kind of even split between the 2 units, Derek Grant appearances, Isaac Lindestrom appearances, Jakob Silverberg. It was a little odd what was going on there. Okay.
Well, yeah, and you also have Hampus Lindholm on the power play experiment for so long, and you saw it tonight actually in the Bruins game where he was on the power play and just nothing happened. Yeah. So here's the numbers, just so everyone knows. 2020-2021 season, the Ducks put up 2.97 goals for per 60, so purely goals. and they had 6.56 expected goals for per 60, 13.2 unblocked shot attempts per 60. Or sorry, that was the wrong. I don't know what I was looking at there. 71.22 unblocked shot attempts per 60. Fenwick 4 per 60. This season, 21-22, 7.59 goals for per 60. So a significant jump from 2.97 to 7.59.
Yeah, more than double.
Expected goals for, though, went from 6.56 to 5.8. Unblocked shot attempts went from 71.22 to 65.4. The biggest difference, shooting percentage, 6% last year, 16% this year.
Yeah, so there's some critiques you could say there about, well, how well do public models capture power play efficiency and passing data and all of that? And sure, that could be true, but I think there's no way to finesse shooting percentage, right? The fact that they went from 6 to 16 is more likely to be about variance than anything else.
Let me just put it like this for everyone out there, right? Look at Max Comtois' season last year to this year. And as I've kind of laid it out there a bunch, right? You look at a lot of the underlying metrics. There's not a huge difference between the two seasons.
For him?
From an on-ice perspective. At least last time I looked. It's been a while since I looked.
Yeah.
Has there been a big change?
He was bad this year. I mean, he wasn't a positive impact in anything.
Well, no, but my point here is that that's not any different than he was last year.
No, he was good offensively last year.
Okay, maybe I'll... Regardless, the
back
point
off this one.
The point of everything I'm trying to say here is that the regression could have been seen in the pure goals perspective because of you looked at his shooting percentage last year and you're like, there's no way he's going to shoot 20% moving forward. And it's the same concept here is that there was no way the Ducks were going to continue to shoot 6% on the power play. That just wasn't going to happen. So there was going to be this regression to the mean, which was what happened this year, and the Ducks shot 16%. The reality of the situation is the power play is actually somewhere in between that. And the one thing I just want to get ahead here is that when they are not as effective on the power play from a goal-scoring perspective next year, the question shouldn't be what happened to the strategy, what changed, all this different type of stuff, when in reality, the power play this year wasn't that much different from a generation perspective between the two seasons. And so it's not as if there was this drastic step in on-ice play. And I think that's the biggest takeaway here.
Yeah, I mean, there's a possibility they figure some things out and improve, and that expected number comes up. But yeah, like the trend does not appear to be in that direction. Yeah, so anyway, coaching I don't think was a strength for this team this year. I think we can say that pretty confidently. And then the other thing I just want to point out that was disappointing that you brought up already, but Max Comtois just wasn't good this year. I mean, I struggle to find anything this year that kind of shows him in a positive light. I mean, from the on-ice impact, RAPM model, evolving hockey, just a negative value in everything, right? And that's not what you want to see because last year he showed significant steps in that regard. Even though he was poor defensively, he really showed that he can have a positive impact offensively. And if you look at his tracking data this year, just really not that involved at all. I mean, he was just bad. I don't know how else to say it. It's unfortunate. He was really only good at getting shots off the rush this year and I mean picking up some rebounds, but that's really it. And I think moving forward, I'm just really curious to see what the coaching staff is going to do with him because one of the reasons I was kind of optimistic about Comtois not getting traded at the trade deadline was, well, you know, Aikens might not even be back next year anyway, and if he isn't, new coach, things will turn around. Now it's the same coaching staff, same kind of priors. How are they going to deal with him? How are they going to – because I feel like they can't do to him this year what they did to him – sorry, they can't do to him next year what they did to him this year, which is when he's struggling to just either scratch him or throw him down onto the fourth line. Like at some point, you got to teach him how to play. You got to let him try to work through his mistakes as opposed to mistake, punishment, and take out of lineup. Like that pattern has to break because clearly it didn't make him a better player this year. It did not help. And you know, he's not a Jamie Drysdale, he's not a Trevor Zegras, he's not one of these first round guys who you're really banking on being good, but he was a guy who showed you promise. He was a guy who showed that he could potentially be a top six contributor, and it would be a shame to kind of lose that completely. Yep. And I do think that this year in particular, maybe I'm being too kind to him because he wasn't good, but it just feels like he was a victim of his environment a lot more than just his own play, in my opinion.
Yep.
There were a lot of flaws in his game that had been there that kind of reared their ugly heads, but that's the coach's job, is to make guys better, and they did not do that whatsoever with him.
Yep. All right. Anything else?
Nope. That's
right.
it for me.
So the Oilers just tied up this game, actually, so it's been a really fun game. So, Felix, I got a question, though, for you. With the playoffs going on, it's actually been really fun. So are you growing out your playoff beard?
Oh, yes. Let's go with yes.
So you can let that thing loose up top, Felix. But our friends at Manscaped are here to help you avoid a Jumbo Joe downstairs. The global leaders in below-the-waist grooming want to save your hockey pucks from a slap shot in crunch time this playoff season. 4 million men worldwide trust Manscaped to prepare them for the Stanley Cup. Join them and go to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code CTP. So, Felix, shaving your balls starts with the perfect package for your perfect package. The Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped. Hide your beard trimmers because 'tis the season for ball trimmers. The Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer leads the Performance Package 4.0 and features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin safe technology. And, Felix, why don't you tell us about a little bit more about the Lawnmower 4.0?
Yeah, so the Lawnmower 4.0, it is waterproof, and so you can get your business done in the shower with no issue, with no effect on the technology. It also has a 400K LED spotlight, so if you need to be more precise while you're shaving, they have you covered there. You can check your pubes into the boards with ease this summer.
And the Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer is also included in the package. It's also waterproof and has skin-safe technology, so you can keep the unnecessary roughness on the ice where it belongs. And for your backline defense against chafing, Manscaped has ball deodorant and spray-on toner to keep the boys loose and ready for battle. The Crop Preserver is anti-chafing ball deodorant to keep your balls sticking to your legs from end to end. No one will be chirping you anymore for having smelly balls. The Crop Reviver is a spray-on toner for your balls. It's made with soothing aloe and witch hazel extracts that will give your balls a boost. Manscaped even threw in their shed travel bag to keep all your gear stored comfortably. Speaking of comfort, the Manscaped anti-chafing boxer briefs are also included and will bring your chow game to the next level. The boys will be buzzing with this Stanley Cup lineup from Manscaped. So you can get 20% off plus free shipping with the code CTP at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with code CTP at manscaped.com. Don't be a goon fighting your bush with the wrong trimmer. Choose the right tools for the job this playoff season with Manscaped.
There you go. You go check them out. It's the best time of the year. Round 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
This really is.
And I feel like this year in particular, the
staggered?
Well, there's that.
Yeah.
What do we? I don't know. What's this look I'm getting from you?
Oh, no, there is no look. I thought that's where you were going, and I completely misread the situation.
No, well, it's the matchups themselves. It's the fact that so many of these are so close. There aren't really that many obvious, bulldozer type rounds or matchups. So it's going to be cool. I'm excited for it.
And I mean, today was the first day of it, and the staggered start times have been amazing. I mean, this
so
year
nice.
It definitely was an ESPN push, or maybe a Turner push. Who knows, one of the two. But I mean, you would expect it was ESPN with it being on ESPN and ESPN2. And
they do that for the NBA, which they have the rights to.
Well,
so it makes sense.
And it makes even more sense in hockey when you're dealing with intermissions every 30 or 45 minutes. And so when one game's in intermission, you know what you do? You can flip the channel and watch another game going.
That's exactly what I did today.
I've legitimately had hockey on since I got home at 6 p.m. It's been glorious. I haven't had to watch any intermission. I haven't had to listen to Mark Messier talk about passion for the game or anything like that.
Honestly,
or Chris
I
Chelios.
love Mark Messier. Chris Chelios is kind of funny.
I honestly didn't. I saw like a minute of it, so I'll take that back. I saw 1 minute, and I was like, "Oh, changing the channel." Not that it was bad. It's just like, eh.
Well, Messier just doesn't really say anything, which is kind of frustrating. But Chelios tries at least.
Yeah.
Okay, so bringing it back to the Ducks, though. We have all summer to talk about this, but just right now, your feel for what comes next. What's the next order of business here?
Ooh.
What happens this summer for the Ducks?
I think it's a massive summer. I think there's a bunch of things. Pat Verbeek had said around the deadline, more or less, that it probably will be an active offseason, that he wants to bring in veteran guys and bigger guys to support his guys. He also even said, I need to bring in speed guys and skilled guys to support my more skilled players. Mm-hmm. And all of that makes me think that this is going to be a very active offseason for the Ducks. And you also factor in, we've mentioned this a lot, the broadcast a lot of times is a PR at times situation for the Ducks, right? Mm-hmm. They are a PR arm for the Ducks. Brian Hayward made it pretty clear in the last couple of broadcasts that the Ducks are going to have a completely reshaped team next year. That is not said if he is not getting word that they're going to look to be very active this offseason. And basically it said this is going to be a very exciting offseason for Ducks fans.
So what do you think that looks like, though? Because I think that everyone that pays attention to the Ducks kind of has an idea that will happen. But how do you actually make that a reality if you're Pat Verbeek? Like, how much of it is guys that are currently on the roster being shipped out? Like, how many of these guys? Because I think on Twitter I said I would set the over-under at number of players being gone at 5.5. And I think in hindsight, I should probably move that up to 6.5 to make it more challenging.
Yep.
But here are some names. I mean, like Max Comtois, for example. Is he back with the Ducks next year? I think there's a chance he's not right now. Zach Aston-Reese, is he back? I think there's a chance he's not. He could be. Who knows? Derek Grant has 1 year left on his deal. Is he part of this team's plans? Does Pat Verbeek see him in that way? Good old Jerry Mayhew is a UFA. I very curious to see if he's back. Dominic Simone, Vinny Lettieri, both UFAs. Andre Schuster is a UFA, right? So there's pieces here that are kind of, I mean, there's a lot of those guys are kind of roster filler, but still there is going to be some movement. I think all those guys could feasibly be gone. Maybe Comtois gets dealt in a hockey trade, right? So, I mean, now what's your feel for that? How deep into kind of the surgery here will Verbeek get on this roster?
You want to know my prediction? You put that out there of over under 5.5 of how many players are moved.
I mean, it sounds like you're taking the over.
I'm smashing that over because I think it's 10.
Oh crap! I think I should have said it at higher because John Gibson is in there as well.
Yep,
you're saying 10.
I'm saying
who are
10.
the 10? Oh my God, who are the 10?
So I'm just gonna go ahead and say all the UFAs are gone. Maybe they bring back Zach Aston-Reese. Maybe they bring back Dominic Simone. I think they're fine fourth liners, but I don't think they're really anything like.
They didn't show anything.
No, exactly. Yeah. So I think all the UFAs are gone. Okay. Schuster's not back. Lettieri won't.
That's a shame, by the way, Andre Schuster. I grew to appreciate his photography.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
I mean, make him the seventh defenseman then. Have him be back. He's the seventh D-man just for the photography. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 6. Right? Including Getzlaf in that.
Oh, well, that's. I mean,
okay.
Sure.
No, your thing was playing in the game, so Getzlaf didn't play, so that doesn't count. So there's 5. Then I think John Gibson is traded this offseason.
Okay, so wow. Okay, so you have Gibson, but we're still trying to get to 10. So you're at 6.
I think Simon Benoit played his last game as a Duck.
Really?
I don't know if he's going to be traded or not. I just don't know if he's on this team next year.
Interesting. I think, as in he makes the team?
Yeah, I think he could potentially be in the AHL next year.
Well, he's an RFA. Yeah, I guess it doesn't completely matter.
Like, they could just not qualify him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, did he really show that much this year? Like, I know it's a great story, and his numbers were not terrible, but did he show enough to think, okay, this guy has to be in the lineup? I feel like Urho Vakanainen is kind of that guy, is kind of a Verbeek guy.
Yeah.
Right? Brought him in, part of the Lindholm deal. Okay, so I think we're at 7.
Yeah.
Did not think Simon Benoit would be a casualty here of your picks, but anyway, continue.
Derek Grant.
Is that wishful thinking?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm
just glad you admit it.
Yeah, fully admit that. I think I did Max Comtois in that count.
No, you didn't. I don't think you did. You said all UFAs.
No. But now I'm getting into the non-UFAs.
Okay, got it.
Simon Benoit was not one. Max Comtois was not one. I think that, so what is that? That's 9 that I'm at?
Well, now you just completely confused me.
I'm at 9, I think.
Okay.
5. I had the 5 plus Gibson, plus Comtois,
So 6,
plus
7,
Grant, plus
8,
Benoit.
9.
So the 10th, let's go. Who was I? Let's go with Kevin Shattenkirk getting traded in the offseason. I don't remember if that was the one I was thinking or not. I honestly can't remember who the 10th one was at this point, but still, there's 9.
It's funny because I've been one of those guys of, Sam Steele isn't that bad train, but the aggregate of his season is not that compelling.
It may have been Sam Steele then.
I could see the Ducks just not qualifying him.
Yeah.
Because honestly, like if Pat Verbeek really wants to reshape this roster, do you think he's looking at Sam Steele thinking, hey, that's a guy that we have to kind of keep on? I mean, I feel like he's kind of shown he is what he's going to be in the NHL. I could see him being on, or I could see him being back. He's just as roster filler. Wow, so 10. 10 is a lot. Yeah. 10 is a big number.
You know, sometimes you got to go big or go home. And I think Pat Verbeek's going to go big.
I think the Gibson piece is interesting.
Yeah.
And that's something. But here's my thing, though. And because I'm writing about this right now, and my whole thing is, well, do the Ducks really want to be better next year? You know, the 23 draft is supposed to be an all-timer, right? Connor Bedard is a generational talent, but it's not just him. It's not just the Bedard draft. There's other talent. And so part of me is, well, why do they want to push for next season? But then thought about it a little bit more, and I thought about it this way. Trevor Zegras in the last year of his ELC, and Troy Terry is in the last year of his crazy team-friendly deal. Those two guys combined are costing the Ducks about $2.7 million in terms of cap hit. I feel like now is the time to take advantage of that because that is going to massively change a year after next year, right? The season after next.
Well, I also just
now is the time to leverage that.
I also just think that you've had this massive year from Zegras and Terry. You don't want to essentially have them feel like that's going unrewarded in some ways, and maybe that's too much. Like,
yeah, that is a bit. That's okay.
But, like, if you can make it work, because essentially Verbeek has gone out there and said that, hey, I'm looking for these specific type of guys. And if you can find those guys that fit the timeline that you're looking at, why not build? Because that's the thing. He said that they're in the middle of a rebuild, which means he's in the building phase, right? This is not the tear it down phase. As much as people want to think that this was the quote-unquote tear it down because they traded Lindholm, Manson, Raquel, that was just trading away your UFAs because you're not making the playoffs and you can't come to a deal on them that you like, so you're moving them for future assets. This is the build of that, though.
Sure. I guess my question is just how far... I guess to me, there's a fine line between you want to build and be better and also kind of overextend yourself and give out too much money and build a team that's mediocre.
Correct.
Right? And just kind of marry yourself to mediocrity as so many teams do.
If they end up moving out all these guys that we said, right?
The team gets better.
Well,
I mean, none
only
of these
that,
guys are difference makers.
You went a different way than I was going to go. They have to get money to hit the salary cap floor.
Right.
Like, if they trade out Gibson,
yeah.
Like, without John Gibson on this team this season, let's see, their cap hit would have been $64 million.
Yeah.
And the floor's what, 60?
Yeah. So
it's going to get even less next year because they no longer they're losing also Ryan Kessler's contract. So there's $12 million if they move Gibson and Kessler off the books. They're underneath the salary cap floor.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, I think Silverberg right now, is he counting against the cap?
Yeah.
Okay.
No one's on LTIR because the Ducks weren't close to the cap.
Yeah, so I think that it's well and good that they want to get better next year, but I'm a little reluctant to kind of get fully on board with that because I feel like, again, it's what we've been talking about the last couple of years, which is you got to be careful with what you spend, how you do it.
I don't know if it's all going to be free agency. I think there's going to be a lot of trades, and I think that that Pat Verbeek was very specific with getting second-round picks to then go and move those for other guys, whether that's a Travis Sanheim, whether that is end up being a Jacob Chikrin, who knows what it could be, but those.
But even then,
mold.
but even then, you know, spending all that draft capital that you accumulated to bring in these guys that maybe don't move the needle quite as much, like that to me is still kind of a whiff. And so I'm just curious.
It depends on the deal, right? And it's making sure it's the right deal. That's the key part.
Like, to me, the number one thing is I don't think Jacob Chychrun is worth the price for the Ducks.
I'm slowly coming to that opinion also.
Yeah, I just don't think he's worth it. I think that it's just crazy what's being asked, like the kind of Jack Eichel return, basically. And I think it's not in the Ducks' best interest to make that deal. Even though Chychrun is a good player, even though he isn't a good deal, it just feels like a lot for one player who, it makes you better, but doesn't completely change your fortunes. Like, when you're spending that much, you kind of want to get a guy who moves the ball downfield a little bit further.
Yep.
So,
all right, so let's get
it'll
through,
be interesting.
Let's get through these questions, and then we can all watch the third period of the Kings-Oilers game because it is insane.
Let's throw.
Yeah. So we're gonna start with our Discord. Anyone who wants to support us in any way, I'd say the best way you can do it, or best bang for your buck, is our Patreon. At $1 a month, you get access to our Discord, which is, let's just be honest, the best place to talk Ducks hockey, or just hockey in general on the internet. Like, I don't really think I'm even being hyperbolic there. It's just such a warm, welcoming community of people that have become there. And so go do that, and then you can ask us questions, and we'll get to those first on here. But Olaf is, JJ Stone Drum says, over-under on 3.5 Michigan goals for Zegras next season.
What do you have this year, 2?
Yeah.
So more than double, basically, is if I'm taking the over.
Yeah.
Or double if I'm taking the over. Yeah, over.
I'll go under. I'll say 3.
What?
I'll say 3.
Cowardly.
Okay.
I was expecting you to take the over anyway.
No, because people are going to defend it more, so he's going to figure out ways to get around it with passes and stuff like that.
It's pretty hard to defend, but anyway.
Yeah. Let's see. Ferda Ducks asked...
Salem appearance.
Salem has been going crazy because Monica just opened the door. Let's see. Ferda Ducks asked, what percentage of John Gibson's post-trade games against the Ducks will be shutouts?
Ooh, not that many. I'm going to say 8%.
So, like, maybe one game if he goes to the Eastern Conference?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the Ducks are probably going to be a high-scoring team.
Yeah. Ferdiak says, what's the story with our goalies in that Dallas game? Both were seemingly healthy enough to finish their respective periods, but couldn't return for the next period. I want to hear your best conspiracy theories on what happened.
Well, first off, what are the facts here? So I think Stolarz was actually hurt.
Stolarz was lower body injury. Gibson was upper body injury. And supposedly what Tom Hodges said is that Gibson really couldn't walk. Or not Gibson. Stolarz couldn't really walk.
Yeah, and you saw Gibson in the hallway in the videos
you saw Hodges. Stolarz also.
Yeah, I mean, guys don't come out if they can still play.
Yeah.
I mean, I've made my e-bug takes known on our Patreon.
Yeah, go hear that if you want to hear the buzzkill that Felix is.
Not going to rehash that here.
Conspiracy theories, let's go with they were poisoned by Tom Hodges because he wanted to get his NHL moment.
I'll just say bad food in the pregame catering and had a double Luongo incident.
There you go. Shake and Wing says, who is further along in their rebuild, Montreal or Anaheim?
I mean, I wish I could say the Habs.
It's easily the Ducks.
It's the Ducks, yeah.
Yeah.
That being said, Cole Caulfield tied Zegras in goals in half the season, basically.
SP84 says, it's a very NFL thing to package both first and trade up, but if the team picking 6th or 7th is open to accepting 10 and Boston's first, in addition to a mid-round pick next season, are you opposed to making that move if you can get a player that is in the second tiers as opposed to waiting for a player in the third or fourth and 4th/5th tiers to fall to both of the Ducks firsts?
That seems like a lot to move up 5 spots.
100%.
4 spots.
And here's my thing. 10th to 6th isn't that big of a jump in this draft. This draft is very similar to, I think, like the Zegras draft, where there's a group there's the top couple 2 or 3 players, and then there's 7 players, it seems like, where you could have one person that ranks Slavkovsky 3rd and someone else has him 10th. Mm-hmm. And someone has Brad Lambert 4th, someone else has him 12th. So it's kind of all over the place, where I would rather not spend the additional assets and just see who's available.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. JJ, unless you can trade up to first.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get up into that first tier of basically Shane Wright, or it seems like Logan Cooley are the 2 big ones. So JJ Stone Drum says, hot take I'd like you guys to discuss. The 100 plus flavor Coke Freestyle soda machines are always way worse than a classic soda fountain.
I have no opinion on that.
He is correct.
Okay.
The soda just always ends up being it's too many things. I don't need the option for an orange Coke.
I've never had just straight Coke.
Wait.
I've had Coke in mixed drinks.
Wait.
Have I not told you this?
I know you've said you're not the biggest soda person.
I've never had straight Coke, never had straight Pepsi.
What
Dr.
sodas
Pepper.
have you had? Straight.
Just orange soda. Or in like Sprite / what's the other one?
What? Our Discord's kind of been a bit quiet today. It's now blowing up.
Yeah, I mean I'm fine with like my life has turned out great despite this lack of soda, or specific sodas.
You've never gone to McDonald's and wanted a Coke?
No, because I've never had one. So I don't have it's not in my head. There's nothing to desire.
What do you get to drink at McDonald's?
Usually water cup, free.
Their dollars are their sodas are $1.
When I go to In-N-Out, I get pink lemonade.
I know that's a fair take. Their pink lemonade's very good.
Yeah. Okay.
But like,
I'm getting some pushback here.
You 100% are.
Didn't think this is where it was gonna land.
This might be your most controversial take.
Why am I not getting congratulated? Like, hey, this is a healthy choice. Good for you.
No one.
Not that I'm that healthy in general. But
Lewis says his eye is twitching from you.
That's funny. That is funny.
SB Bruin says, what do we do with Shattenkirk? He was our worst D the back half of the year. Total tire fire on our zone. I mean, I'm not gonna even. I will go further. He was not good at all this season.
He was good on the power play. I think you can say that.
All right, fair. He was not good at 5-on-5.
But he was terrible at 5-on-5, and I mean that's the most important thing.
I mean,
with a D-man, you're trying to play a bunch of minutes, so
you ride out the last year of Azil, throw him on the power play, and hopefully boost his points and trade him at the deadline.
Yeah, I mean, I think you try to trade him whether it's in the summer or by the deadline, but what else is the point of keeping him around? So
yeah. That guy Bobski said, question, Jake and Felix, have either of you tried the Little Debbie Treat ice cream line? I have no idea what this is. And he said, if so, which one is your favorite? All right. I'm going to do a little Google search.
Oh, my God.
Little Debbie.
I thought we were blitzing through these.
Oh, it's like tubs of ice cream.
Okay.
They sell it looks like it's specialty type ice cream. They have Nutty Bar, Zebra Cakes, Cosmic Brownie, Oatmeal Pie. Yeah, no, I haven't, but I'm intrigued. Let's go with that.
Okay. I'm not intrigued.
Oh, it's exclusive to Walmart. I mean, I'm sorry. This is
I don't
not
go to Walmart.
Yeah, I was about to say this may
call me an elitist.
This may be considered elitist. I can't remember the last time I would have gone to a Walmart.
Call me an elitist. I get called it every day nowadays.
Well,
so.
Yeah, that's because you are elitist with your fast food takes.
Yeah, I am with my overall food takes as well as I'm learning.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Casey asks, what returning veteran / older player are you most excited to see on the Ducks next year? Like a guy who you mostly know what to expect from, but think could have a bit of a career resurgence a la Henrique this year.
Ooh, well, yeah, my mind was already going towards Adam Henrique there. So who's a veteran who can bounce back next year, essentially? I mean, in a weird way, I'd be curious to see what Kevin Shattenkirk would look like on a better Ducks team. So I'll go with him, Kevin Shattenkirk.
All right, and they also said for the shit show portion of the show, and we'll just do it right now, Youngstown, Alberta.
What about it?
Casey wants us to look it up.
Oh, God.
There's a Back in Time Museum and Antiques.
Okay.
Oh, where is this, by the way?
Yeah, that's the first thing you got to look at.
It's kind of in the middle of nowhere between Edmonton and Calgary.
There's just not a lot here.
Yeah, but there's
not a lot.
Back in Time Museum and Antiques. What are the pictures like?
There is a motel and RV park.
This place looks really weird.
There's a place that's called Playground.
There's
literally called Playground. There's no other description.
There's the Fuel Buddy. Oh, there are no. You can't do Street View. Here.
That's a nice little touch.
Let's see. Oh, this playground looks very dire. There's tires there.
There's Bill's Building, which has, again, no reviews, no feedback, nothing. I kind of want to call these numbers.
Did the antique store have any reviews? Ooh, it does. Great place to learn about all things Youngstown, Saskatchewan. Amazing collections from music, history to motorcycle.
Wait, is this in Saskatchewan or Alberta?
Oh, this person just forgot what province they were in.
Wow.
Wow.
Jeez, yeah. What do they put in the liquor?
Yeah. Amazing collections from music history to motorcycle. Ask David and take the tour through multiple buildings and archives. Okay, multiple buildings. This is a big place in Youngstown, Alberta.
I feel like is that kind of like the review flex, is when you put ask so-and-so on a first name basis.
I mean, here you go. I love their personal touch that Jennifer and David given a tour going through the buildings. To see everything you will need you will need 2 hours to see everything you will need, and they will personally guide you through the 4 buildings in town. These are 2 people who live in a small town with a large antiques collection. The passion really shows through every inch of the spaces. The passion of the owners reminds me of 60s personality, free-spirited, colorful, and fun-loving motorcycle people. Most of the antiques are various pieces of time in North American history. The collection revolves around their bikes, with many other unique antiques placed throughout. They have put in a large part of their lives into these amazing collections and have stories to go with everything. Do we need to get in contact with Jennifer and David?
Get him on the show.
Yeah.
Get him on the show as I watch McDavid doing McDavid things.
Yeah, he is stupid. Game. All right, back to questions. Let's see. Lewis asks, what are 3 positives Ducks fan can take away from this season? The Verbuild is on, Zegras and Terry are fun, and Drysdale improved.
Yeah, and Milano.
Yeah. That guy Bobsky said, what jersey numbers do you guys wear and why?
Ooh, well, you wear 2, which is confusing because you play forward.
Well, the reason I wear 2 is because I played second base as a kid, and so I always liked wearing 2.
Is 2 a second baseman's number?
Yes.
Oh, 2-0 Kings. There you go. Speaking of number 2.
What?
Yeah, they just scored.
It's 3-3.
Am I behind you?
Yeah, it's 3-3.
How far behind am I?
You're the game's in the second intermission.
Oh, it's because YouTube TV saved where I was last time I was watching.
YouTube TV is fantastic.
That's a good feature.
It is.
Wow, I am so behind then.
Yeah.
That is really embarrassing.
Now you get why I was so confused.
Okay, I'm number 9 because homage to the Rocket. And also, that's my playing style.
Yeah, number 2 is a second baseman number. Adam Kennedy wore it on the Ducks when I was a kid, or on the Angels when I was a kid. On the Ducks?
There you go.
On the Ducks.
Now we're even.
Yeah.
Now we're even.
Okay. App AG said, who is your next jersey amongst current active players on non-Ducks teams?
Why is there a call to cancel me yet again in our chat? I'm so confused. Okay.
Next jersey amongst current active players on a non-Ducks team. So for you, that's easy.
Yeah, I need to get a Caulfield jersey at some point.
I'd want to get a Matthews jersey.
Interesting. I mean, if I were to pick someone not on my favorite team, I mean, I can't pick anyone on the Leafs.
But you want Austin Matthews to end up on the Coyotes to be able to get a Matthews Coyotes jersey.
No, that I don't. I do not care about.
That's what you do. Skippy with Peanut Butter said, most underrated fast food joint.
Underrated? Huh.
Jack in the Box.
That's just trash. There's there's not rated.
You're proving you are proving my point right now.
It's not underrated. It's so bad.
You are proving my point right now.
What is underrated fast food? I don't know. I only go to In-N-Out.
Wiener Schnitzel also underrated. Their corn dogs are great.
Actually, that's not a terrible take from you.
Hey, thank you.
In an ocean, in a sea, in a galaxy of bad takes.
Skippy with Peanut Butter also asks, what kind of return would you guys want to see from a Gibson trade? Assuming he convinced another GM. Assuming Verbeek could convince another GM, he's still an elite goalie.
I think if you're getting a roster player, you just want someone that's going to fit the team's timeline.
I think basically look at the Eichel trade.
I mean, do you love the Eichel trade?
I think if it was for Gibson,
for
Gibson, I would.
Sure. Okay.
That's my point. At a taco pie. I finally think I understood what that name was.
Is McDonald's underrated?
No, it's properly rated. Would you rather get rid of offsides or icing?
Offside. If I had to, I don't really buy into the remove offside thing, but definitely icing needs to be in the game because teams shouldn't be able to just clear it out.
T-Rex, why are you doing this? His question is: you have 3 contracts that you have to give out. A 3-year deal at $7 million a year, an 8-year deal at $2 million a year, and a 1-year deal at $10 million. The 3 players you have to sign are Derek Grant, Nick Delorier, and Jerry Mayhew. Who gets which contract?
Oh my God! Hold on. So 1 times 10.
1 times 10.
Who gets the 1 times 10? Who do you just want out of there? I mean, the best player of those 3 is probably Derek Grant.
I mean, I might say Jerry Mayhew's better than Derek Grant.
Okay, so
1 times 10 is Nick Delorier.
Okay, just because you want him out.
Yeah.
Okay, 1 times 10, and then 8 times 2.
Jerry Mayhew.
And then what was the other one?
3 times 7.
Derek Grant. God.
3 more years of him.
What is this? $25 million between Jerry Mayhew, Nick Delorier, and Derek Grant.
Our chat is like, Jake is legitimately stumped.
By the way,
this is the most stumped I've been. This is like a perfectly niche question for us.
It's good. This is the kind of question we want.
Yeah.
That second Leafs goal, the Matthews 5-on-3, where they're like passing it back and forth behind the net, 5 forwards.
Yeah.
Just chef's kiss.
5 forwards took a timeout to make sure they were rested and get them back out there instead of putting out a subpar unit.
I really hope that the kind of naysayers of our pod and our opinions regarding the Ducks watch these playoffs. Watch what the good teams are doing.
Well, here's the issue: the good teams have to win.
Sure, but still, if they don't, in this position.
No, I get that, but if they don't win, then it's more fodder for them. Because of basically, it doesn't work in the playoffs.
That was a nice shot by Teravainen.
You're just now commentating on the intermission. So let's keep going. That guy Bobsky says, who gets their jersey retired first, Getzlaf or Dustin Brown? Getzlaf.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Dustin Brown's retiring. I mean, he's retiring at the end of the season. Are they going to retire his jersey number next year? Probably.
I don't know.
I feel like they're both going to have it retired next year.
Yeah. AppAG said, Jake, would you take a broadcasting/analytics gig for the Kings? Yes.
Wow. Bad fan.
Not really.
Bad Ducks fan.
Like, it would be awesome. It would be so sick to do either of those for any NHL team, even if it is the Kings. Doesn't matter. Felix.
I mean, I'm just busting your
Felix,
your chops.
Would you take a broadcasting analytics gig for Czech's Notes? The Leafs, I guess?
Sure.
Or the Bruins?
Ooh. That's
Kempafu said that, and that's the much better one to ask.
Yeah. Ugh. I mean, yes, but does this mean I have to work with Jack Edwards?
Yes.
Yeah. No. I mean, I would take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Green Bastard said, for how much do the Ducks sign Jack Kopaka this summer? The Patreon question has wormed its way into this main
$0.
episode.
$0.
All right. So Twitch. Get your questions coming in now. We got one question from Twitter and one from email that we'll get to, and then we'll get to all the Twitch questions, and then we will wrap this bad boy up. So we got this question from Infamous Sparkman again. Sent me an email, said, will Vegas inquire about John Gibson with the reputation of acquiring stars if they somehow get rid of Leonard or Leonard negative value goes to the Ducks?
I could see that, but would John Gibson want to go to the Vegas Golden Knights at this point?
I think so. Jack Eichel.
He wants to win.
Yeah.
Yeah. They can be the two fellow disgruntled American stars on the same team.
Has Josh Mahura proven himself at the NHL level because he wasn't sent to the goals with Benoit? No, it's because he's not waiver exempt. Benoit is. That's the biggest takeaway. And then has Vakanainen solidified a spot in the NHL, or is he in the same boat as Mahura and Benoit?
I feel like he's above those guys, but he's still kind of I think it could go either way with him.
And then he also asked, what are your favorite play-by-play commentators for NHL games?
Ooh.
My favorite analyst is Mike Johnson.
Well, no, but he asked for play.
I know. I'm just saying that because I want to say
you're answering a different question.
I know.
That wasn't asked.
I know.
Okay. Play-by-play. I mean, I think John Forsland is, of course, great. I'm blanking on his name. The play-by-play guy for LA.
Oh, Alex Faust.
Alex Faust is very good. I think that the TSN regional broadcaster for the Canadians is real good. Brian Woodrick.
Gord Miller's good.
Gord Miller's a legend. Yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot of talent out there.
Yep. We got this question from Sean Seabolt. Said, question of the pod, which one of the players traded at the deadline has played the best since leaving the Ducks?
I actually wanted to ask you this quickly. Where do you stand on Bucci-Gross?
I like him as a play-by-play guy.
Yeah,
I don't
same.
like him as a intermission guy.
Yeah, so what I like about him as a play-by-play guy, which kind of hit me tonight, is that he knows hockey.
Yeah.
And so he knows how to describe things in a way that, because the ESPN has other guys who they're just good broadcasters and they can just kind of do any sport. But he's a hockey guy, so anyway.
Yeah. Whereas in the intermission, I feel like he kind of gets too much into the narrative streets, and I think his stuff works as a play-by-play guy. It doesn't work as well as an intermission host.
Fair.
All right. Sean Seabolt had asked a question for the pod. Which one of the players traded at the deadline has played the best since leaving the Ducks?
I could not answer that. I have not paid attention.
I have not really either, but Hampus Lindholm was playing well for the Bruins, so I'll go with him.
Okay.
All right, so now it's time for our Twitch question. So for those of you on YouTube, yes, we're on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/CrashPond, where you can like and subscribe to our videos. Please do that. It actually helps out significantly. Or if you're listening on your favorite podcast services, you all know the bit. We do a live stream of the show each and every time we do a podcast, typically Mondays at 8 p.m. Twitch.tv/CrashPond, where you can help support the show. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free Twitch Prime gaming sub each and every month. You do have to hit that subscribe button after 30 days, and it helps support the show more than you can imagine. You get special emotes in the chat, special badges next to your name. So we've got a couple of questions here that I want to get to. What's the first one? That guy Bobski had asked, question, Felix, for Felix, Ducks player, which Ducks player do you hate most, and why is it Isaac Lindestrom?
Don't hate any. Next question.
Appa AG said, and question, can we all agree that Pepsi fast food restaurants are garbage tier?
I don't know what that means.
Places that have Pepsi instead of Coke.
Do not care about that. Do not care.
Zero
about that
opinion?
No, because I've never had either.
I mean, it's the correct call. Places that have Pepsi are not as good as places that have Coke.
No opinion.
And that is because Taco Bell has Pepsi.
Just next.
I tried to get you to
get me out of this.
To agree to that, but
oh, that was a bad goal by Mike Smith.
Damn. Let's see. There was a question from our good. Oh, this is about Spencer's question in Discord. He said, I'll read this. Might as well. To justify my question, even though you guys feel paying an additional mid-round pick is too expensive, I'm basing this off of NHL GMs often never trading top 10 picks. I'm sure it will be easier just answer this on draft day. But if you are see a group of Lambert, Slavkovsky, Savoy, and Geeky, and pick five
Holy
is one
crap.
of them. What?
Sorry.
Do you not consider?
McDavid almost just did the thing again.
Am I behind you now?
You might be. 1942.
Yeah, I'm at 1950. Oh wow. Okay. So, and then I guess this is more a question for you. Spencer also asked, did either of you catch the NFL draft?
I followed along. I followed a stream of it from my favorite NFL coverage. Yeah, it was good. Enjoyable. A lot of dumb picks, a lot of weird things, but enjoyable.
And I'll end with this. That guy Bobski asked, and this is, I guess, purely for me then, which is better, Baja Blast or Code Red?
There's a lot of Baja Blast love out there, but I don't know really what it's all about.
Yeah, I can't remember honestly, I can't remember the last time I would have had Baja Blast, because I can't remember the last time I would have had Taco Bell. It would have been 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, are you allowed to go to Taco Bell?
I have actually
contractually.
I have actually been told that it is blasphemy if I get Taco Bell.
Wow. Okay.
That I am being a traitor if I do that. So
yeah.
Even when the one or two times I'm like, this kind of sounds good. I haven't had this in a very long time. And you know what? Bold take here. Regular Mountain Dew is the best Mountain Dew.
That means nothing to me.
Yeah, I'm realizing that. Chris Kindred, I love how like they're just layers from you from time to time, that things that you and I have been doing this podcast for what? How many years now?
5 years?
5 years, and there's still things that surprise me about you, Felix. It's nice to see.
I thank you, I guess. This feels kind of backhanded, but
it's definitely backhanded.
Continue.
Let's end with this. Chris Kindred said, "What's a realistic contract for Milano?" And then we'll get on out of here.
Yeah, that is interesting, actually. What's the number there? I feel like it's not going to be that. I mean, I'm just. If it were Bob Murray, I would say it's not going to be much of anything. Now that it's Pat Verbeek, I'm curious how he views him, I guess.
I could see 3-year deal at like $3 million.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yep. All right, so I think that's going to do it for us, though, tonight.
Wow. Interesting show. Interesting. Did not think you didn't want to do a show tonight. Let's lift back the curtain a little bit here.
I mean, it's the first night of the playoffs.
We're actually taking 1 week off this
Memorial Day
this month. Yeah, so if you block out your calendars, just letting you know in advance, no pod that week. But thank you for listening, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the show, and honestly, we haven't really gotten into it yet. But thank you for joining us this season. I mean, it was a kind of a
up and down,
a crazy year. There was a lot that happened, a lot of different news, a lot of stuff, and this was a really fun year. Everyone that was in the Twitch chat this year, you guys made it fun. Everyone that was submitting questions online in our Discord, and even if you're just a listener, you don't have to submit a question. If you're just someone who downloaded and listened, we really appreciate it. This is something that we do. We're just passionate about this. We love doing this. We love talking hockey. And the fact that so many of you, or any of you even, enjoy listening with us is we don't take that for granted. It's really cool. So thanks for being along. But we're not going anywhere, though. I mean,
no.
We'll be right back here next week. There's going to be a lot to discuss in the off season. So if you enjoyed what we did this season and you want to help us keep this thing going and carry it forward,
really quick, I just want to add on to what you said. Thank you, everyone, for helping support us. 5 seasons now of this show.
Yeah,
from
this is year 5.
Year 5, which is kind of crazy to think about. Year 5, and we're still going strong. There will be an addition to the.
Do we hang a banner now? 5 years.
Yeah, there will be an addition to the CTP crew come next season.
Wow, you're going there. Okay.
I mean,
Well, I don't think people might understand what you mean by that.
I mean,
we're not getting a third co-host.
No. I feel like everyone knew what I meant.
Okay.
There's gonna be a little baby that will make an appearance on the show every once in a while.
Little baby. I can't say the word.
No.
Can't say the name.
Please don't.
Divulge.
Please don't.
Want to divulge.
Please don't.
You haven't decided. Oh, it's 3-3. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes more sense now. Yeah.
So
but seriously,
I just want to say thank you to everyone. Truly, from the bottom of my heart, this show is something that Felix and I started doing because we just like talking hockey. And to be quite honest with you, this show and kind of what it's become, I mean, Felix has become one of my best friends through doing this. And so kind of through the support of all of you, that's kind of created this friendship because, to be honest, Felix and I did not know each other before this.
Yeah.
And now we text a stupid amount about hockey and that in text messages that make no sense. And my wife doesn't understand it. So, so without all of you, without all your support, without everything that's happened with the show, that wouldn't be there. And I'm just happy that kind of this ride is still going and you all are supporting us.
Yeah, and honestly, like this has just become something I look forward to every week. Like it's just fun. I look forward to the pod. So anyway, enough of that. Enough honey and milk and the flowers. Is that how you say it?
Sure.
I don't know. Anyway, if you enjoy what we do and you want us to hit year 6, there's a few ways that you can do that. The number one way we've talked about a lot, our Patreon, patreon.com/crashthepond. $1 a month, you get access to the Discord. It's the best place to talk hockey online. Certainly the best place to talk Ducks, that is for sure. That's for $1 a month. Now for $5, you get access to that and 2 bonus episodes. We just did one over the weekend. My favorite one of the year, playoff round 1 predictions. We put our pride on the line with that one, and it was a lot of fun. That's for $5 a month. You get 2 of those bonus shows a month, and then you can also pledge $15 a month as an extra boost to help us keep this thing going.
Let's just say my picks today are looking very good so far.
Are they?
Yeah.
Are they?
Which one isn't?
Are they?
Yes.
Did you pick Carolina?
Yes.
You did. Despite the whole Anderson thing, which let's see. For a second, I was looking at regular season scores. Who won today? Kings Oilers is tied. You picked the Oilers. Wow, the Blues torched the Wild.
Thank you very much.
That is distressing. I mean, okay, your picks look fine, but that's really your only contrarian pick.
Yeah.
In our little back and forth.
One of us is perfect so far. One of us isn't.
I mean, did I say Wild in 4? No, I didn't. So I'm still good. It's all good in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Wow, just throwing shots.
Okay, back to your point, the Patreon.
Yeah, so check that out. But you don't have to pledge any money monthly, though. We get it. Money's tight. Inflation is rampant, what have you. Check out. You can check us out on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a rating and a review. And if you do leave us a review, we will read that on the show. We love hearing from you guys there. Check us out on YouTube as well, youtube.com/crashthepond. That is where you can see the video version of the show. So you can see all the charts, everything that we put up on screen as we are doing this. But you can really listen to us wherever you get your podcast, Spotify. Leave us a little rating there. We would appreciate that. Another way that you can support us, check out our website, crashthepond.com, and specifically crashthepond.com/shop. You can get really cool t-shirts there for the summertime. Maybe the weather's heating up in your area. There's more sunlight. The days are getting long, Jake. The sun's going to start coming up. Sunrise is going to be pre-6 a.m. here in Southern California, and sunset is getting later and later. So get yourself a t-shirt with our beautiful crest. You can get it in orange and black or with the eggplant and jade. We also have coffee mugs, and we have really cool stickers that you can put on your laptop, put on anything, really. Put on your fridge. That's at crashthepond.com/shop. At crashthepond is on Twitter and on Facebook. Jake is on Twitter at reindeergames91. I'm on Twitter at Felix_Sicard, and that is going to do for us this week, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you next week. Have a good one.
Bye.